Hey guys, welcome back to CLOWNFISH TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about how canon is killing pop culture.
That's right. That's what it is.
We're going to talk about this kind of ridiculous article on IO9, and then we're going to talk about, speaking of ridiculous, we're going to talk about the High Republic.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the character bios, and we're also going to talk about how canon has been killed in many of our pop culture tent poles, you know, Star Trek and Star Wars and Doctor Who, and we're just kind of roll all that together. But this is the attitude that is definitely hurting pop culture right now.
I agree.
So before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We're over 100,000 subs, guys. Thank you so much for the support. We want to keep bringing you news, views, and rants during this unprecedented...
Oh, this is going to turn into a rant, I can guarantee you.
Well, they even filed this. They even filed
rant.
This.
Okay, well here I have a counter rant.
247 comments. These should be good.
I have a counter rant to their rant.
All right, is this Jack Black back here? This looks like Jack Black.
I don't know.
Is he in Star Wars now? Coming from Gizmodo, formerly IO9, they rolled everything together.
Probably pretty soon to be something else because they'll go out of business.
They'll go out of business here. Our fascination with canon is killing the way we value stories.
Disagree. I think the Hollywood's fascination with having to retool everything that's already out there instead of making new things would be more what's killing our stories.
Yeah, now, just before we get into reading some of this article here, I gotta tell you, I personally think the reason that canon is being tossed out more and more is because they have people coming into franchises who are not familiar with those franchises.
Yeah, they don't have to be. It's not a prerequisite. Knowing the franchise is not a prerequisite.
It's sort of like being a doctor, but being made a doctor, but the only experience you have is you've been to a doctor a couple of times.
Right.
And all of a sudden they hand you the scalpel and they tell you to go perform brain surgery.
You don't have to do it the correct way. Just do it your way.
Right. So you can see a difference between, just recently, you can see a difference between people who actually were fans and they came into a fandom and they respected the source material and they tried to elaborate on it. A couple examples, obviously The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni did a good job with that. Compare that to the sequel trilogy. Compare that to the expanded universe. Well, not the expanded universe, but the garbage they're putting out there now, High Republic.
Oh, I have words. But here's the thing. Like you said, you have fans that come in and understand it. You can make new things and still stay true to canon.
Yeah.
This is a load of shit. What's going on is these people like She-Ra, prime example. I never watched an episode, but I had the toys and I made my own stories with them. So now I'm just going to make up my own stories professionally. And then beyond that is the whole idea that if they make things new, they change it, and if fans are mad, there's something inherently wrong with the people who don't like it.
Yeah.
You're a misogynist, you're racist, you're a troll, you're whatever, because I decided willy-nilly to change everything. Like that writer with that stupid Gotham High. It's my own OC, but I had her admission. She made it herself. She made it all about herself. And now when people are pissed about it, they're just racist, sexist trolls. It has nothing to do with the fact that they completely took everything that mattered, everything that made the character, and just threw it out the window.
Yeah, I mean, I understand in that case, they're going to be like, oh, it's an alternate universe. But the problem is that kind of attitude, that let's make my fanfic, let's make my OC.
It's all fanfic OCs.
It's bleeding into established franchises. And I'm not saying you have to slavishly, follow every little storyline or whatever, because as these franchises age, as Star Wars and Star Trek and Doctor Who age, it's going to be harder and harder for people to keep track of all that. But I guess my thing is, where people get so frustrated is if the fans have to do more work than the people actually creating the shows and the movies, that's not a good look.
And then telling people that hanging on to canon is just silly, and that's ruining pop culture. No, what's ruining pop culture is the fact that Hollywood's too lazy and scared to take chances on new things, so they keep rehashing old things and trying to make them the new things by ruining it. And then the constant need to shove agenda into characters and stories that didn't need it. Or that had it before, but then they're changing it a completely different direction now because they can. Those two reasons are why it's killing these franchises, guys. It's not because of fans. Without fans, you wouldn't have the effing franchises to begin with. Sit and spin.
Yeah, so here the first example they use is Star Wars. I mean, Disney obviously took the expanded universe and threw it out.
Oh, and then we meant to do that. It was all planned. Bullshit.
I can tell you why they did that. Look, it's really very simple. They threw the expanded universe out because there's so much of it that when they brought all these new writers in to the Lucas story group, they did not want to have to spend the time to do due diligence.
To do the research. And when you have Pablo Hidalgo basically saying, we wanted our Skywalker.
Yeah.
So at the, I mean, they're flat out saying they wanted their Skywalker. So you can trace the way they ruined Luke clear back to that meeting, guaranteed. Because we got to lower that Skywalker to make our Skywalker more important. We can't have them both be important. No, that's bad.
It's bad. We can't. There's not enough room in this galaxy for two
this
cool
idea
Skywalkers.
that you have to have it be your mark, you have to undo the other one, and then you have to piss on it, and then people complain you have to make them bad people. That is what this whole thing boils down to. And it honestly, it's ballless insecurity.
Yeah, it is. And again, a lot of these people are coming into existing franchises and fandoms. They're not really fans. I'm not saying that they don't have good intentions. Some people do, but it's very clear. You know, you see the disdain that they have for canon, for the audience, for the fans. You see the disdain they have for certain legacy characters. It's very, very clear that they came in with the intention of rewriting everything, and having canon, having decades of canon, is just a pain in the ass for them because they want to wipe it clean.
Well, no, it's arrogance. It takes skill and talent to go back and see what's been done and make sure you write your character in the character. That takes skill and talent. No, ever seeing more and more, they want to write the characters, but they want to make them the characters about themselves. So we see this with She-Ra, we see this with the Batman thing, we see this over and over again in Star Wars. They basically are trying to insert agenda, insert their own personality, insert everything into the character, because it's hard to actually write character when you aren't that person.
Yeah.
It's easier to write yourself. Of course it is.
And this is a very recent thing. This really has only been the last 5 or 10 years that we've seen this, where they're like, oh, we want new people writing these shows or whatever, and they never really stop to think, are these people actually fans of the franchise? Again, with Gotham High. Now, Gotham High gets kind of a pass because it is an Elseworlds thing, but immediately she's like, yeah, I don't know anything about Batman.
There's no pass. It's ridiculous.
I don't know anything about Batman, so I just wrote myself as Batman.
That's why it doesn't get a pass. She flat out said, she didn't even try to write it like Batman.
I talked to my husband who's read a couple Batman comics, and he told me the basics, and I just kind of went with that and then made Batman myself. And then we're seeing this with Doctor Who, we're seeing it with Star Trek, Star Wars,
and the
obviously.
Thing is, you can find talented people who are fans of the franchises, who can write and create new things, even insert some agenda stuff in there, and do it in a way that doesn't go against canon, or doesn't go against the way the characters are. You can totally do that, but they don't.
Yeah, they don't. And again, they don't, I look at comics, look at Marvel and DC Comics. Now, they do reboot the universes every once in a while. It never used to happen very often. Like when DC did Crisis on Infinite Earths, it was the first time they'd reboot the universe in decades. But people who came into DC Comics or Marvel Comics, they were expected to at least have some familiarity with characters, and what they didn't know, they were expected to go ask questions, like, would this conflict? That's why they had editors overseeing the whole thing, because
editors who knew the comic and knew what they were doing?
Right, not just interns, but actual editors, because they knew kind of the canon, the lore, and what they didn't know, they would ask to make sure everything was more or less coherent. And now they just don't give a shit.
No, we'll just make it up as we go. We'll change it.
Make it up as we go.
If they don't like it, call them names and tell them they're bad people and bully them until they agree. And if they don't agree, make sure everybody else mocks them and chases them out of the fandom.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this is supremely important to me. I'm so happy that I get to create my OCs and whatever. And then if you criticize them, oh, it was just an old cartoon based on toys. What's the big deal?
Yeah, why do you care?
It's not a big deal. Why do you care? It's
but if you take anything they love and mess with it, oh my God.
Yeah, well, we saw the Buffy backlash. Yeah. I mean, there was all kinds of backlash over Buffy.
And that was because they were going to make new Buffy black, and they had a hissy fit like you wouldn't believe. How dare they, those racist pigs?
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, oh, it doesn't feel so good, does it? And we're gonna see this. Basically, if it's not important to them, it's okay if you reboot it. However, if it is important to them, it's hallowed ground and you're not allowed to touch it. And that's basically, so it just shows a very self-centered, selfish hypocrisy. So anyway, this article said our hunger for canon goes terribly wrong when something matters or not becomes the base standard for how we consider a piece of media.
Well, if it has a title on it that's an established franchise, people are going to base their opinions on it based on that franchise. You can't just be like, it's a glorious movie, it's nothing like Star Wars, because and you're using the name Star Wars.
So here we go. This is what we're talking about. This is basically old school geeks versus, I think, a lot of posers coming into pop culture now. It's kind of like if you had a long-running Dungeons and Dragons campaign and everybody had their characters and their backstories and whatever, and you bring a new player in, the new player's like, yeah, I'm really confused. Can we just start over? I know you guys have spent like 5 years playing this campaign, but my new character is going to be the best, and we're just going to start over because this is way too hard. And everybody complains like, hell no, you can come in and play by the rules, play by the universe.
Go look up. Here's all the books. Go read these and you'll understand what's going on. But that's hard.
That's hard. I don't want to do that. I made this new character. I know I didn't even read the book on how to make a character, but I want to come into your game and this character is going to be the best.
Or if you still say no, they'll turn around and go get a new group, make something brand new that has absolutely nothing to do with it other than the name only. Go be at a bunch of people there, get a bunch of attention for it, and then go on social media and campaign against you for being meanie pants, racist, hater, trolls because theirs is better and you don't recognize it.
And that literally has happened. There are people who have come into gaming, tabletop gaming and stuff, are like, the rules are too hard. We should just, they're exclusionary. It's like, okay, could you imagine that in football? Could you imagine people being
any
like,
sport? The rules are exclusionary.
These rules are really old, and I don't know why we play by these rules. Let's just make the rules up as we go. Let's just have. Why do we kick the football? Why we don't even need balls? Balls are misogynistic.
Yeah, it's misogynistic. We should just kick the air or kick something that looks like a vagina instead. But then that'd be sexist, and that'd be violence.
Vaginas.
That'd be violence against women.
But you see what I'm saying? Like when you have rules for a thing, and everybody agrees on those rules, and the vast majority of people want to play by those rules. You can't just change them willy nilly because you feel like it.
Oh, thank goodness! Punt the taco! Punt the taco!
God. All right. So Iodine's like, yeah, discussing canon can be fun. It can add a lot to the series, but this craving for it above all else is toxic. Not just because we talk about pieces of media from a critical perspective, but in fan circles as well. The hunger for facts above all else leads to things like filler episode becoming a derogatory term for stories that don't advance the larger ongoing plot of a narrative. That's not what we're talking about. But
beyond that, filler episodes are something that's been around for decades. I'm sorry, filler episodes, basically you have time to kill, you do a filler episode. Sorry if you don't like the term, it's the way it is. But beyond that, they're saying about fandoms and discussions. There's no such thing as discussion anymore. Don't you know this? Because certain people can't discuss things. Certain people don't like your opinion, they automatically call you names and then mute you or block you.
Yeah, this is... Okay, so this is a bad look for what used to be, well, yeah, I'd say pop culture site. This is basically a political site.
I was going to go to media here in a bit, eventually. Go ahead.
But in this article doesn't even make sense because we're talking about canon. We're talking about taking established characters and flushing the backstories down the toilet to appease a new audience or to appease a new author, whatever. We're not talking about filler episodes. We're not talking about side stories. We're not,
Most people don't care about those.
No. It's fine if you want something to matter to a world and characters you care about, but it shouldn't be the end-all be-all to your investment in them. Fandom is such a wide, shareable passion full of different opinions and interpretations.
You're not allowed to have different opinions.
You're not.
Ask She-Ra, ask Disney Star Wars, ask the new Star Trek, ask the new Doctor Who. If you have an opinion contrary to what there's no discussion. You're just automatically called a name and told that you don't matter.
Valuing the sterile facts of those stories more than the things about them that makes us think or feel as a sad thing.
What doesn't even make sense?
We're gonna talk more about this because I actually,
God, this is what the hell?
It's basically saying that, like, well, you just care about this making sense in your universe and you don't care about good stories. The problem is most of these quote unquote good stories are not actually good stories. Not only do they destroy the canon, they destroy the established canon, piss off the old school fans, but they're not even good stories.
No, they're not. They are not good stories. And the thing is, they're just a vehicle for an agenda. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. And as I've said repeatedly on this show, as a writer myself, if you want a good story and good characters, you need to focus on character and story first. They might happen to be these things you're pushing, but you need to make good characters and a good story that include this stuff. And what happens is they're too busy trying to push strong female character, or this agenda or that agenda or diversity or whatever. We even saw it on that stupid thing for the going forward in the story group. Diversity was above good story. I mean, that's the problem. You want good stories, you need to make good characters and good stories first, and then include the stuff you want to change among that. And they're not doing that.
So we're not going to read all the comments, there are quite a few. This is the top comment. This is what people are having a problem with, especially with Disney Star Wars. If you don't want fans to freak out about canon, I'm looking at you, Star Wars, you probably shouldn't market your comics and books as all these must-read materials and yelling that it all counts. Look, Disney, when they ditched the expanded universe part of it, I think was because they were trying to get rid of, all years, decades of all this stuff that the casual moviegoer wasn't into. But they also didn't want their new writers at the Lucasfilm Story Group to have to know 2 or 3 decades worth of stories. They just want, their people to come in and be like, oh yeah, you saw the movies? Okay, you're good. You're good. Now you can just make up whatever you want. But even the movies, even the sequel trilogy contradicted canon, of the movies that came before it. It's like, what the hell?
Well, sometimes the movies themselves and the early ones contradicted canon too. But that one you can give it a pass because it was the person who actually invented it doing it, which still isn't the greatest, but it's better than what we got now.
So let's get into this High Republic thing.
God, yes. Oh my God. I want to talk about something here because it really pissed me off. Can we talk about it? Okay. So they have this article. Right, and they're talking about this, the Jedi Knights and Masters and the Star Wars High Republic. Lucasfilm's Publishing's creative director, Michael Siglin said StarWars.com about here's how it differs. Okay, right, here's how High Republic differs from the other dribble that's Star Wars. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This is where I get mad. Readers will see a very wide variety of Jedi in this area because, don't they know that has never happened before?
Diverse Jedi.
This is a hopefully optimistic time when the Jedi are good and noble. I think we all kind of figured that was going to happen. And we want to reflect that in their characters. So they're all the bestest, goodest, and most noble, while still giving them enough depth and dimension that their individual personalities and idiosyncrasies shine through. Because don't you know, any Jedi of the past were just shit that had no personalities or idiosyncrasies. They were all just Jedi, generic Jedi, but they're going to fix that. Okay? The Jedi Knights of the High Republic are both aspirational and inspirational. They are the good guys.
It's before the dark times, before 4chan and the alt-right trolls.
I was going to say before dark times, before everything before that came before they made this up.
Yeah, oh my God.
Okay, it goes beyond that, guys. Fans have seen the Jedi in a host of different situations, battles and planets over the course of the franchise. It can be easy to see them as de facto protagonists and little else. Okay?
Oh my God.
If you read the books, that's not true.
That's a backhand slap to everybody.
I know. It gets better. It gets better. Just wait. The High Republic is dedicated to making these legendary figures as well-rounded as possible. They never express what well-rounded means, by the way. But we all can assume what that means. We saw the chart of what they were going for the
diverse.
Diversity came above story.
And dinosaurs.
Kevin Scott is slated to play a huge role in the upcoming stories as a writer. Jedi won't be following the code out of blind loyalty or duty, but instead are motivated by their individual callings towards serving people. So unlike all the other Jedi...
Selfish asshole Jedi.
No, but unlike all the other Jedi, they're going to have reasons. But a lot of the Jedi had reasons for why they were Jedi. A lot of them did. And maybe the reasons you didn't get in-depth character descriptions of every single character is in the films. There's so many damn characters. Short of going to the books, you can't get in-depth character and, understanding of each character. This is a load of shit. So basically they start out by throwing all kinds of crap at all Star Wars, at the old Star Wars before Disney, because, unlike those Jedi who had no reason to be there other than that they were told to be a Jedi, our characters have reasons.
Ours are the best. Our ROCs are the best. And that's what this reminds me of. And we'll get to that in the bios, but they remind me of D&D characters.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
And the one especially, I'm telling you, if you read the bios, her seems like it's a lot more, I don't know, it just seems more involved than the other ones. Anyway.
She's the most special one.
Yeah. Okay, we put a lot of time and effort into making our Jedi feel like real, rounded individuals, because, before this, never did you feel like the Jedi were real people. They're all different, approaching the Force in individual and unique ways, and yet are united with a common goal. You mean like all the Jedi before this? They serve not out of unwavering dogma.
Okay.
But a deep passion to protect light and life. Because, unlike all the other Jedi before the ones they wrote.
Yeah.
And they're all different stages. They're all different stages of their individual journeys. Unlike all the other Jedi and all the books and everything before this. Some have experience on their side and some have exuberance of youth. Some are still finding their place in the order while others step naturally into leadership roles. You mean like all the other Jedi in all the other books and movies? Some may not have chosen to work with a Jedi. They've been posted alongside, but all are dedicated to be the guiding light for the galaxy. Individually, they are all strong because they're all the bestest. They're all OCs. Together, they are invincible. Well, clearly they aren't invincible because we know what happens.
Yeah.
But like the best heroes, they each have lessons to learn and challenges to overcome. Exciting times lie ahead, unlike all the stuff that came before what we wrote, because we wrote the bestest stuff.
Lots of them that's their excuse is going to be like, if our Jedi were in charge when Palpatine was pulling his shenanigans, the Empire never would have happened because our Jedi are the better Jedi. But since they were dead, and these inferior Jedi came afterwards.
Yeah, well, even the ones with no personality, and they just blindly believe dogma. Well, then some of the write-ups are talk about them being the best. Yep. The best. They're all the best.
So this is literally.
Look, there's Brie Larson.
This is going to be Brie Larson. Everybody's saying this is Carol Danvers LARPing. Mm-hmm. This character.
Why do all the characters look like they're so stiff and they have like no life to them? And
because it's Brie Larson.
Well, no, all of them like that. Just it bothers me. They all like
their light and hope. She's the brightest.
Right, the bestest. They even said
most noble example of Jedihood. She's always tried to see the good in people and situations and never puts herself first. Well, it's not Brie Larson. She is invigorated about life on the frontier and the challenges it brings and is an inspiration. She's freaking Mother Teresa with a lightsaber.
Basically. She is the Mary Sue of Jedis.
They all are Mary Sue.
She is compassionate, not dogmatic. She doesn't believe in dogma. Did we mention dogma? I told you, ready to sacrifice herself because she is the best of the best of the best.
She is the best of the best. That's the official write-up. That she's the best of the best.
Loden was a great storm.
God, these sound like D&D characters. These are not Star Wars characters.
My character is the best, and he's Loden Greatstorm, and he's gonna kick all your asses.
Such bullshit. This is not gonna do.
Loden. Okay, Loden is that Twi'lek or however you say it, Jedi Master, and is considered to be one of the best teachers in the Jedi Order. The best. Do we get the best in there, guys?
He's the best.
Strong and wise with a good sense of humor. Loden looks at every moment as a learning experience, always trying to better himself and those around him, especially his Padawans. You know, because it's all about helping everybody else over yourself. And does he look like someone with a sense of humor to you?
No.
He looks like he's constipated.
What is
up with these okay, the clothes are beautifully done.
They look like D&D characters.
Okay, and then here, this character has the write-up to me just seems like, compared to the others.
She's the best of the best
Kyiv
of the best.
Trennis, okay? This is, obviously, there you go.
Shaved head.
Yeah. She's a young firebrand Jedi, believed to have a great future ahead of her. If only she would believe it herself. Like, everybody keeps telling me I'm so great, but I don't believe it myself. This sounds like a certain group of people that I would expect this out of. Quick-witted and more impulsive than she should be, because she's smart. She has only been a Jedi Knight for a few weeks and is a little starstruck around Avar. Knowing many of the great things that Chris has done in the past, she is determined to prove herself to Avar and other legendary Jedi stationed on Starlight Beacon. Wait, Starlight Beacon? Really?
Is that like Starlight Express?
But first,
are they going to sing and dance badly?
No. But first, she must learn to trust in herself as much as she trusts in the Force. How can she trust in the Force? Wouldn't that be, dogmatic?
They're going to ship those two together, aren't they?
Oh.
Because she's got a shaved head. Anytime there's a person of color with a shaved head, immediately they're shippable.
I know, and I don't know why they do that. Anyway.
I don't know why they do that.
Stellan Gios.
He's probably going to be a Sith in disguise.
Probably, because he's a white guy.
I bet he is.
He's an optimistic and well-respected Jedi Master. Why are they all optimistic, the bestest? Jedi Master is fantastic.
This is a time of hope. Everybody's hopeful and we're the best.
This sounds like a snooze fest.
This does sound boring as hell.
Stellan came up through the order with the Avar Chris, super Mary Sue. And although they are often on different assignments for the Jedi Republic, when the two work together, they are a powerhouse team of two noble heroes in action. Much like me and Kneon. Yeah. Strong in the Force and a natural teacher. They all are natural teachers. Stellan is currently stationed at one of the Jedi Temple outposts on a distant planet of Karagon Wiener. Karagon Wiener? A Wiener. It's a Wiener.
Carrion Wiener.
It's a Wiener. Carrion Wiener.
Carrion Wiener, the planet of zombie dicks. That's where the Sith live.
For Nestra Vern.
Whoa.
Whatever.
She's green.
Okay, just so you know, so she's diverse. Because, diversity never existed in Star Wars, but they're going to use it now because she's green.
Yeah.
Vern is a newly minted Jedi. That's why she's green.
She's minty.
She's green. She's the green one.
she's a green machine. She's minty fresh.
She was a Padawan to Stellan, however you say his name.
Geos.
She works hard and is devoted to the Jedi Order more so than most of her age. Oh, they gotta watch out for the dogma. She's devoted. At 16, she is one of the youngest knights in a generation. She struggles to fit in with the adults, but also setting a good example for the younger Jedi.
Well, I'm glad she's not an incel like Anakin Skywalker, who nailed the queen.
Yeah.
It's such an incel. He couldn't get any. Yeah. So, this sounds like a bunch of D&D LARPing bullshit to me. I have zero interest.
They are well-rounded. They are better characters than you've ever seen before in Star Wars. The guy said so. Unlike the other Star Wars characters who have no personality, have no reason to be Jedi, have no motivations at all. They're motivated by being not dogmatic and the best. And down here being, has a sense of humor, but he's always trying to better himself because they better be the best.
So that means.
And her motivation is she wants to be the best, but she doesn't think she's the best yet.
But she is the best.
But she is, because they know she's going to be the best.
She has a shaved head, therefore she will be the best.
They're going to be the very best, like no Jedi ever were.
So yeah, so let's talk a couple points here. One, that article, this I thought was really interesting. I saw it yesterday on Screen Rant. I actually agree with it, even though I haven't seen all Frozen 2. I saw bits and pieces of it. But they talked about how, you can turn canon on its ear if it makes sense and it actually betters the characters. And in this case, they point out that both Frozen 2, so Doctor Who is Frozen 2. Frozen 2 and Doctor Who turned canon on their ear, and it was for the worst. It was not a good move. It actually devalued the characters, because at that point, the characters, since they were the chosen ones, since they were special, it didn't matter what they went through. There was really no long-term ramification. Doctor Who, well, Doctor Who's now is special and responsible for all the Time Lords. So there was never any danger because the Doctor never runs out of lives.
Right.
And Elsa, she's the bestest. It's not about being a misfit anymore. It's like, oh, she's a chosen one. So now, but it was really interesting. There was a sentence down here. Both Frozen 2's Elsa, spoiler, Elsa, Fifth Spirit Twist, and Doctor Who's Timeless Child reveal are supposed to work in favor of the characters in their respective journeys, but instead end up undercutting them. They're twists that put mythology, lore, and big reveals ahead of actual character development, using plot twists rather than a strong story arc. So they upended canon because, you're supposed to make stories that are supposed to advance the personalities and the journeys of these characters, but in this case they're saying, well, this actually was more about the twist that it upended years of lore just for a cheap payoff that never really was a payoff.
Exactly.
So I think there are some people out there that just, and I wonder if this was actually in
response
to this, because they both came out yesterday. No, this came out. Yeah, they both came out on the 2nd. So I wonder if this is Screen Rant's way of responding to IO9 being like, you're a dumb bitch, IO9. And Doctor Who for me is forever ruined at this point. Like, I don't think they can come back from this.
No.
Because there's never any danger now. Like, well, Doctor gets killed, Doctor's just going to come back again.
Even before this, Doctor Who's a prime example of when you put agenda and OCs over actual good characters and story, it has progressively just fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing to do with, of course they're going to blame it on sexism and everything else, even though it had, the premiere had some of the highest ratings ever. It wasn't about that. People were willing to give it a chance. And they even stayed for another episode or two after that. The problem was when it became just a pulpit to preach from, and it wasn't even about good, interesting story anymore. It was about preaching. And that's how you ruin a franchise.
Yep, so you've lost the old fans, the new fans don't give a shit, and
who wants to be sit there and be told you're a bad person if you believe these things and it's always been that way, but you're a bad person for it? No one's gonna stick around for that.
Well, the media loves to tell old school fans are bad people. Again, Star Trek Picard, I got 2 episodes into it, I'm like, screw this. The first one I liked. The first episode, I'm like, yeah, I'm on board with this because it hit me in the nostalgia bits, kicked me in the nostalgia bits.
I never watched any of it because I just don't care.
And I'm like, okay, this might be. Then by the second episode, it was very clear that they were going in a totally different direction. I didn't want to go in, so I didn't watch it. And I heard it got progressively worse. Huge leaps in logic, lots of rewriting of canon, but the media loves it. But it's all for the better, according to the media. All the way Star Trek Picard flipped the Trek universe on its head for the better. Meanwhile, all the old school fans have been with Star Trek for decades are like, we're done, we're out. There's no Star Trek merchandise. Nobody gives a shit about Picard. They have to give it away on Amazon now because, you know, it's like, oh, somebody's got to watch it.
As somebody who doesn't watch it, just looking at this picture, this does not look like Star Trek to me at all.
No, this looks like Alien. It looks like they're sitting around waiting for the chest burster.
This does not look fun.
Happen.
Like, Star Trek was fun and exciting. This does not look fun and exciting. It just
it's not fun.
It looks like, you know, like Aliens, or it reminded me of if you saw Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when they were stuck in space. It reminds me of that, and that's not very fun.
It was a very dark, dystopian take on Star Trek, which was a complete 180 from what Gene Roddenberry wanted. He wanted an optimistic future. Yeah, there's some conflict. Yeah, there's some darkness, but at the end of the day, there's hope. And the freaking Picard was like the most miserable, hopeless piece of shit show. It was not Star Trek. It was Star Trek in name only. And a lot of people have problems with it. And again, here you go, guys. You bring somebody in who's like, yeah, I just want to whack the beehive, and I'm going to tell my story, and canon be damned, and this is what happens. Another franchise burnt to the ground.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, you're just a bad person, don't you know?
Yeah, you're just an awful person. You must be a racist or a homophobe because they made 7 of 9 gay.
Did you ever notice that they never take responsibility? Like, ever? No. Like, the show's a shit show now. You ruined it. You didn't follow canon. You rewrote everything. You obviously didn't understand the characters. And then people don't like it. And it's always everybody else's fault. It's never like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have, I could have put these new things in there, but if I had stayed closer to canon, or if I stayed closer to what these characters were really like, it wouldn't be so bad. People might not be so upset. No. It's always everybody else's fault because you are enlightened and they're all moronic, bad people with bad personalities and are trashy people. It doesn't matter what politically they lean for real. We're just going to label them all Yahtzees because clearly they are if they don't agree with my brilliant take on this show.
Yeah, and that's what it always is. It's always, the emperor's new clothes. It's, you must be just, plebs because you don't understand how brilliant this show actually is.
That's right. And if you're complaining about canon, it's because you aren't smart enough to appreciate the genius of Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
And there's articles actually saying that.
Yeah, and Michael Chabon, the guy behind Picard, he's another Rian Johnson. He basically came right out and said, I watched Next Gen, I hated it, so I'm going to do my Star Trek.
Like, Thundercats Roar is another perfect example.
It's like these people...
The one got the actor's skeleton in the corner.
Oh, God. There's so much disdain. Again, these people want to work in Hollywood. They want to make their own stuff. They're not allowed to because the studios want bankable... pre-established IP, so they assign them to these shows and they ruin them.
And then real quick before we wrap this up, it's going very long. I blame the media too. Because the media is out here writing these bullshit articles. Everybody's much to blame because they're run by the people, but are the people that we're talking about right now, who think that they understand it and the rest of everybody else is idiots. They like it since they appreciate it because it's written for them. You're all just problematic people. The media has just as much to do with the issues in pop culture and failing as anybody else. I mean, they honestly have just as much of a hand in it. Starting big wars between Alita and Captain Marvel and things like that. They are as guilty, if not more so, than anyone else in the whole killing of pop culture.
Yeah, because they create an echo chamber. What happens is, and I know for a fact these studios go out and they look for news articles to show at their meetings and be like, oh, so-and-so said it's great, got great reviews, oh, we must be on the right path. Whereas back in the day when we didn't have this, there were some fan magazines, and there were message boards and whatever, but it wasn't like it is now. So basically the numbers, the viewership and the money. If the eyeballs weren't there and the money wasn't there, they'd pull the plug. They realize they did something very, very wrong. They'd course correct. Now you've got people telling them how great they are when the rest of the fandom is like, hell no, hell no. But they listen to this. They'll take this to their superiors and be like, this one guy on Polygon really likes our show, so let's keep doing more of that.
Even though there's 100 articles saying opposite.
Right.
Or what one's the articles? 100 fan posts saying opposite.
But that, with the shutdown and with that thing we can't talk about blowing through Hollywood, affecting Hollywood, I would say more so than many other industries, they're going to have to realize they're going to have to make stuff that people want to watch. They're going to have to please the fans. They're going to have to bring the fans back because there's not going to be any extra money to throw at vanity projects. There's not going to be any extra money. You're going to have to, you want these franchises to continue, forward for another 3, 4, 5 decades, you're going to have to try to win back the fans. You're going to have to make stuff that gets eyeballs and sells merchandise.
Right.
There is no more room for this kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, people are probably like, thank God.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.